to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. John McClain joins me on the show today. John McClain Design has offices in both Florida and Los Angeles, and today our conversation centers mostly on the systems and tools he and his team utilize to manage projects from 2 locations and 2 time zones. Early in his career, John appeared on HGTV. Then John joined a prestigious interior design firm, which is also a furniture design company in Los Angeles, California. With a passion for custom furniture design and having learned the ins and outs of quality craftsmanship and unique designs, he eventually opened his own home furnishings company, John McClain Home. John's projects have appeared in numerous publications, including Traditional Home and Elle Decor, and he has also received many awards for his various projects. His design advice can also be seen regularly on TV, in print, and online. Now, normally at this point, I would take a moment to tell you about my Doma studio, but as you listen to the show today, you will hear that John does all the heavy lifting for me. He and his team switched to my Doma studio, and he is loving how it has increased their efficiency with their clients and with each other. Please just don't zone out when you hear me talk about my Doma studio. From QuickBooks integration to project organization to client communication to creating services that your client that can click and buy while you are doing other things. These are all the things that my Doma studio has to offer. So if you have yet to sign up for your trial, go to mydomastudio.com/awelldesignedbusiness. That's mydomastudio.com/awelldesignedbusiness. Now, a quick congratulations to the CEO of My Doma Studio, Sarah Daniele, and her husband Tom, and their son Finn, who welcomed a new addition to their family, Zoe Maria. Mama and Zoe are happy and healthy, and Finn is taking his role of big brother very seriously, as expected of him. Please send Sarah a congrats on the My Doma Studio Instagram page and let her know you're thinking of them. Alrighty, let me introduce you to John McClain. Hi, John. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hi, Luann. It's my pleasure.
So, John, here's what I want to share with everybody. If you've been on the show, you know that I usually ask you in the pre-air conversation, are you familiar with the show? Because depending on how you've come to me, so if I invite you, maybe you've never heard of the show, or your PR rep has asked if you could be on the show, I don't always know for sure that you're familiar with the show. So I said to you, are you familiar with the show? And you said, oh yeah, girl, I've been listening to you from the beginning.
I did call you girl, didn't I?
Yes,
Wow.
you did. It was awesome. I loved it.
It's a term of endearment, Luann, I promise.
I believe me, and I take it as one. I don't hear it too often anymore.
Well, I'm Southern and from the South, and so I just say what comes out of my mouth.
That's it. That works for me too. So, but the thing about that is, what I love when I hear that is that then I know that you get what the show's about, and so I always follow. Whenever somebody says that to me, I always follow it up with, because I've already done my research on you and I've already figured out what I think I want to talk about. But when somebody says that, I say, oh, so as a listener, you understand that each show usually has a focus. And what do you think your superpower is that you wanted to share with your colleagues? And you said to me, Luann, I run 2 design firms, one in California, one in Florida, and it takes a multiple amount of platforms and apps and systems in order to do this efficiently. And I'd like to talk about that. And I said, well, the heck with my research, John. Let's go down that road.
Throw anything at me. I'm an open book.
Yep, and we'll get to some other things, but that is a very good conversation, and so I'm excited to have it. So first of all, I know from looking at the website that you have, at least if the website's updated, you have 3 interior designers that work with you. You have Deline, Heather, and Alice. Are there others that aren't there yet?
I have someone that I use part-time in Los Angeles occasionally, but yes, those are my regular people. Yes,
okay,
correct.
Good. And so, which of the ladies are in Florida, and which of them are in Los Angeles?
They're all in Florida.
Whoa. Oh, I didn't expect that. I expected that 1 or 2 were with you in. Okay. So for context, Florida is where the business started, and then you opened in Los Angeles after?
Correct. So I lived in LA for working for another firm, and I moved back to Florida and restarted my own firm again around 2013. So that's when I moved back to Florida and knew that I wanted to go back to work for myself again. And that's when I really jumped back into working on my own firm rather than for someone else. So I moved back to Florida in 2013, and then I built the business here in Florida. And so but inevitably, being from living in LA, you're going to have contacts there. You're going to have past clients and people that are going to refer you. So I started slowly getting business back in California, and I started living in Florida with my husband here. We were living here, had the office here. I had a retail store here as well. I've done that whole track like a lot of other designers have done, which is a whole other story on its own.
Right.
And so I started getting clients in LA, and I was like going back and forth and servicing them and living in Florida, and I was traveling so much. And then my husband ended up getting a job back in LA, and it just clicked into my head, like, can I do this? Like, can I live there and still keep operations in Florida and still keep things going here? And I happen to be in Florida now. I'm here for my check-in that I do every once or twice once or every 1 or 2 months I come back to Florida. So I'm here now, checking in on things and saying hi to clients as well. But I just asked myself, can I do this? Is this possible? And frankly, I just jumped in head first. So what happened was those LA clients and California clients in general started to get more attention from me, hands-on attention, and then I have my staff support me from Florida.
Interesting. Okay, and so 2013 you opened in Florida. When do you then move to LA?
Only a year ago.
Okay, so this is 1 full year. Okay, so that's why the systems is top of mind for you, because it's still really, I'm going to take a guess that you have had great success on coming through the weeds on certain things and are just like, whoa, that's amazing. And other things you might possibly still be saying to yourselves, we got to figure this out. We got to figure out a better way.
It's ever evolving. I will tell you, it's something that I think that every designer goes through these things, whether you have an office in different states or not. I think that we're always looking for new things to make our life easier. And I've heard on your podcast, and I've heard from other designers, those are things you're not taught in design school. They're just not. They teach you how to do CAD and all the other things, but how to run that business is not part of the academics. And so my first degree was actually in business. So I have a degree in business management as my first degree. So that's where I kind of get the background from it. And I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've always been really interested in systems and how to make businesses run more efficiently. And I think that just inevitably bled over into my design firm.
Well, that's so helpful that you have that degree in business, because it does help. I mean, and even if you don't have the opportunity to have a degree in business, you have to pay attention to it, and you have to go get whatever information and education you can, and whether it's a 3-week course on QuickBooks or whatever it might be, right? You can't because they don't teach it to you. You still can't ignore it, right?
Oh my gosh, no. And I wasn't taught everything. I think the business part of my education really just taught me to be diligent and to work hard, and the fact that you need these systems in place. It never really was anything specific. And let's be honest, these systems are changing all the time. I mean, it's something that it's like, as we were saying, not only is it ever evolving in what you're doing within your company, but all these opportunities with these different apps and these different websites and so forth. I mean, it's almost overwhelming if you really think about all of the different things that are out there to help you, quote unquote, with your business. Some of them end up not helping as much. I mean, I could write a book on what not to do as much as I could on what to do, Luann.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And I love your point in there. It's not that the degree in business and the experience of going to business school is actually going to teach you A plus B equals C. It's more like we say, it's teaching you to think that way. And it's teaching you to understand, the broad concepts and the direction and to be aware. But it still is the trial and error and the boots on the ground of running a business and reaching out to other people that run businesses as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love, like I mentioned to you, I love listening to your podcast. And I love listening to a lot of the others out there. And if I can pick up one little or two little tips from that, or like, oh my gosh, this person went through the same thing. I'm not this idiot, like I'm not some moron that doesn't know what he's doing. Like other people are going through the same thing.
Exactly.
It's just this, misery loves company sometimes. And it's nice to know we're all paddling in the same boat.
Yes. No, it's true. It's true because with sometimes we get so convinced that if we can't understand something, that it's a reflection of us. And sometimes it's just that it hasn't been explained in a way that clicks, or we just haven't come across the information yet. But no one person is going to be excellent at every skill set, and so it's a very it's a journey and it's a learning curve. But the trick in it is to pay attention and to take action, right? Is not to just keep doing the same things the same way and expecting a different result. The whole Einstein theory, right? Exactly.
And you have to remove ego, and you have to remove all of these things that you're told you should do. And it's like, yeah, if you've screwed up, then by golly, find a way to fix it. If you tried this and it didn't work, then pick yourself up and move on. I mean, there's been times where I'm like, why did I buy that stupid software? Like that was the stupidest decision I've ever made, and it did not help me at all. And I'm like, or why did I say this to that client, or why did I handle this situation that way? And it doesn't do you any good to sit there and beat yourself up over it. It's just like move on. And to your point, I'm always learning. I think if you stop learning, and not only in the design industry as far as what we do for our clients, but inside of the business side of things, which is what you're helping us all to do, and what your podcast guests help us all to do, is to really always be growing in that, and always be listening. And just, I try to keep my mouth shut and my ears open as much as possible, even though I like to talk.
I'm with you there. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the structure then, because I think it'll help us to understand the structure, to understand how you utilize the different platforms and apps in order to keep you guys in sync. So in Florida, each of these three women, on the website, it calls them interior designers. So no one is senior to the other, or how does this structure work, John?
Correct. So they all have the same skill set. Some of them are, of course, more apt to do things better than others. So I've sort of found out their strengths and put them into that part of my business. So, for instance, I have one employee, one designer who's really my right hand, and she can choose the same fabrics, and she will talk to clients the way I talk to them. And she's very, 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 very good at sort of being an extension of me. And was such a relief for me to find someone like that early on, because that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with early on in their business, is thinking that they can never add an employee, or they can never bring someone in, because it's just you. I have to do it. Like only I can do that. Only I could find that. And then you start finding people who are just as good, or dare I say better, than I am at things, and it's just this eye-opening experience. So I kind of have them divided as I see it. So I have one who is really good at who's really structured, and who's really good at the business side of things. So that person will make sure that all the orders are processed, and that they're received on time, and that they're ready for installation, and that the POs are sent out, but that person can also fill in for CAD drawings and selections and so forth. But her biggest skill set is as I see it, is to really facilitate the behind the scenes things, and she loves that. And then I have, the others who are really good at all of those things, but I pull them as I need them into whatever direction I need them to go in, whether I need them to do AutoCAD drawing or a SketchUp or whatever I need, or to just pull fabrics. I can use them both for that. So I guess I would say that they all wear a lot of different hats, and I'm depending upon them to do that, because when I hired all of them, I said, you're going to be doing, like, we're a small company, we're boutique, we might have a lot of projects going on, but I'm going to need you guys to put on whatever hat is needed that day. If it's take out the trash, then take out the trash.
Right.
It's just whatever needs to be done. And I think that's really important when you're bringing in employees, is to make sure that they really buy in not only to your design aesthetic and what you do for your clients, but also into your business philosophy.
Right. It's especially when the team is small like this. Of course, it's valued by the principal or the CEO of the company, whether the team has got, 5 people on it or 50 people on it, if everybody is a team player. But it's a non-negotiable when it's a small team, that everybody pitch in and do what they need to do to help and support not only each other, but the principal and the clients, right?
Absolutely. Could not have said it better myself. I'm gonna put that on my next employment application.
Right? That's it. So now so the thing is, it doesn't sound like that each of them run their own projects under you?
So the way I have it set up is I call it a project leader. So I have the project leader on that project, and it doesn't mean that you're going to make every decision about it. I want that person to be the one that all the other people support and go. So maybe the project leader will be the one who speaks to the client, and maybe they are the one who schedules, the trades people, and they're the point of contact, essentially, so that the client's not having to call 4 different people and find out an answer from 4 different people, and there's the one person that they know. And I'm really upfront with my clients in that we are a small team and that we all do work together, and whatever means we need to support each other is what we do. But so, for instance, if let's say we have 6 projects going on, I might give one person the project lead project manager position on that one, and if they're the project leader, then someone else might be doing CAD, and then someone else might be doing selections, or maybe they're helping them to do that. But everything goes back to that person. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, they're the one who is really the person who will report all of that to me and send me the weekly update and send me, anything that's going on with that. Because no matter how many projects we get, and honestly, Luann, no matter where the projects are, I want to be aware of it, and I want to know, because at the end of the day as well, it's my name on the company. And if no one else is there, they're going to be calling John to find out where the heck that sofa is.
Exactly. It's a fluid in that, Delene might have 3 that she's in charge of right now, and Heather has 1, and Alice has 1, and then 6 months from now, Heather might have 3, and Alice has 1, and Delene is not in the middle of leading one. Is that what you're trying to say? Like, it's more fluid, but each client has their project lead manager on it.
Yes, and I'll tell you why I do it, and I'll tell you why it's fluid, and it's always going to be fluid with me. It's because every client's personality is different, and every client might not work well with this designer, or maybe they're going to work better with this one. And so I try to gauge that the best I can and early on, and figure out who I think would jive with this person better.
Right. You want there to be synergy, right?
There has to be synergy. Even when I do a consultation, I'm so upfront with my clients, potential clients, I should say, that I let them know, like, listen, this is just a consultation, and even in the form that they sign before the consultation, which I say does not guarantee that I'm going to work with you, that you're going to work with me. There's nothing here. There's no takeaways from this except the fact that we're doing the consultation and we're making recommendations. But I tell them up front, if there's no synergy, and if I don't feel that this is a good situation for me or for you or for the project, then I don't move forward with it, because I've just been when you force yourself to do something early on, you'll take anything early on. You're that young designer, and you're gonna, if it has a pulse and a checkbook, then I'm gonna do it. I will make that. But now I'm a little more discerning, and I have just found when you force those things, it doesn't work out. And even when you force someone to worked with someone who really shouldn't be working with them, I think too it's obvious, and it never comes to fruition. Something will happen where it will blow up, or where one person, whether it's the designer or whether it's the client, will become upset. And I've just tried to negate that early on.
And it's so smart. And I know that we have said that over and over on the show, and it is, to your point, in the beginning, you really are trying to establish yourself and get some money in the checkbook and get things going. And then there's a point where you're not quite as confident to say no to the client that you know in your gut is not a good fit for you. And then there's a point where you can say, that's 3 out of 3 times that didn't work out for me. I think I'll say no next time, right? You just come through experience and know that, to what you said, when you know it's not right, you have that little voice in your head telling you, but you take it on anyway for whatever reason you convince yourself. But it ultimately doesn't end well. So you start to learn how to be more firm in the no. And the only other thing I want to go back to, which interesting is yours, is your 3 employees, the 3 designers that work for you, are sometimes in the lead role and sometimes in the support role. And that's an interesting thing. And that says a lot to your ability to lead and inspire them, that they are willing to do that and understand that today's my day and tomorrow is your day and so forth like that, right?
Yeah, and I think that they actually appreciate it, because I'm not forcing them to take the lead role to be the project leader on a project that they're not passionate about. Maybe it's because one thing about our firm is that we have like a design aesthetic in a way, but we also have a lot of, if you look at our projects, they're really varied in the styles. There's an underlying tone of elegance to everything, but there's some that are more feminine, some are more masculine, some are more for families, some are more for a single person. So I love to be able to take on this variety of projects, and I never want to pin myself in a corner where I'm like, yes, that's a John McClain Design only, and I love that people can recognize our work. But I say that to say that if I force a designer to work with a specific client, and not only does the client and the designer not work well together, but maybe the house isn't something that they're passionate about, and I'm twisting their arm, making them come up with some design for it, what's that going to end up being?
Right.
No one's going to be happy with that, and
right.
and so it's always a little give and take in the beginning, where I do a lot of evaluation from the questionnaire with the client to the actual consultation. So there's a lot of pre-work involved, where I'm working to find out who the heck that client is, because I know who my employees are.
I just think it's awesome, and it just really does describe the way you lead with a focus and a vision for the joined outcome for everybody. That's the best, not an individual race to the finish line.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think that's important to remember, because it is about the end result, and whatever method we do to get there is what we have to do. And I tell you, not only they might not be doing CAD drawings, or might not be doing selections, they might be actually placing the orders, or they might be, going to pick up the tile sample. I mean, it's just, it's whatever we need to do. And I try to instill that into everybody, because you know what? I did it early on. I still do it. I still do all of those things, and I have no problems doing those things. And that's what I love about all of my employees, is that they all are open to that and very receptive to it. And, they appreciate that. And the other thing too, I wanted to mention is that I think that the quote unquote buy-in to, whatever company you're working for is truly important. And if you have no buy-in to it, if you're just working for the paycheck, and you're working just for whatever, you're bored, it's obvious. And I want to make sure that anyone that works for me has the buy-in to the company and to the projects and to the clients, and to grow the company overall. And I'm so fortunate that they all have that. It's just a wonderful thing. Now, I have had some who've not. I will say that over the years.
Sure, I'm sure.
But luckily, those are gone, and the ones that I really want to stay are here.
Yes. So now that we've established how you work and how your projects are organized within the company, what are some of the things that you do so that not only are you all having terrific communication between each other when you're in the same building, but let alone when you are the only one of the 4 of you that are off-site in Los Angeles, John?
Yeah, exactly. So I use something called my Doma, which I think you're a little familiar with.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
okay.
so We do use Mydoma, and to be quite honest, it's newer to us, about 3 months now. So we're
Okay.
still getting accustomed to it, and we've we we made a couple of errors here and there, but we're slowly adjusting ourselves to it. And I love what I theoretically love about it is that everything is encapsulated inside of one software system, so that the communication and the before and after photos and the products for the project, and any client approvals and anything that we can think of, we're stuffing inside of Mydoma. And I like that we have this one stop, because as you know, when you're starting out, you don't really know what's the best thing to use, and so you're sticking stuff in Dropbox, and you're putting stuff on
Yeah.
post-it notes, and
It's the truth.
you're sending yourself a text message to remind yourself. And so far, we're really, really liking it, and we're moving everything over from our former system to this new system, and in Mydoma, and it seems to be working out really well for us. So
Well, and I have to tell you, you don't know how many times I would tell you in 3.5 years, I've probably at least once every 6 months say to Sarah Daniele, the CEO of Mydoma Studio, are you sure this won't work for a window treatment business? Like, because the thing, and you guys hear me when I do my little, advertising spot for Mydoma, I really do pine for what you just said. All the communication surrounding a project is in one spot, whether it's communication between the team, whether it's the before and after pictures, whether it's the tear sheets of the things that you're selling them, whether it's a communication with the window treatment person or the tile person. Like, I just think that is so genius, because you've heard me complain how even just to run the window treatment portion of a project for a designer, before I place one pencil to a work order and say how many widths of fabric it should be, or where that lead edge trim is to be placed, a 1/2 inch in, 2 inches in, whatever it is, I will do like multiple email searches just to be sure I have the most up-to-date information, because what I know is the purchase orders are never updated. And so therefore, if a designer, if even the most, person on their team that I never hear from, if they sent me one email that said, CEO principal changed trim from lead edge to 2 inches in from 1 inches in, that's going to be like, we told you. And I'm going to be like,
oh, for
yay,
sure.
thank you for that 2 a.m. email, 6 weeks after you did your PO. You know what I mean? And so I just think it's so amazing. So that's interesting that's what you're finding is one of the big pluses as well. John, tell us about how you in California, or even you like just in the office next door in Florida, right? It's like, it's all there, right?
Yeah, it's all right under one little click of the mouse, and everything is there. And I'll talk more about communication earlier, because I've had your dilemma of searching through emails, and I think I figured out a system for that too, which
good.
I can tell you what
Good.
I do for that. But yeah, Mydoma seems to be really, really good for us. And I have not gotten to the point, and this is where we're going to next, is to get the contractors and any of the workers to go into that and log in, because I've not gotten there yet, because it's more about training on our part.
Well, yeah, you're only using it at this point for 3 months, so you want to make sure that you've got it locked down before you start inviting others into it. I can understand that. So this has been beneficial now. And also, eyes wide open. It's not easy to take 4 of you and learn a new platform. I would imagine it's taken some ups and downs. And do you find that certain things are more intuitive than others? Like, is everybody embracing it? And I'm not just picking this apart because it's Mydoma. If you said, Studio Webware, I'd be doing the same thing. So I'm just the process of teaching your firm and everybody in agreement on, yes, we're invested in going through this, because it's not easy to just switch over, is it?
No, it's not. And we had the other system for, over a year and a half, probably, or maybe 2 years. We used the previous system. So it's a change, and it was a very well-known system, but it was one that we just were finding was lacking this all-inclusiveness. We were still using, and we still use Google, and I can tell you more about that. We still use the Google Drive and so forth for internal stuff, but for things that we want to have in one area, one central location, my Doma is great with us for that. And I'll tell you something else too that I really like about them is that if you have a recommendation, by golly, they'll listen to you
I
and
know.
they bring that in there, and not only do they is it just talk, they actually do it. I'm like, wow, you listened and you actually implemented that in 2 months after I asked you for it. Like, that's crazy. So
Isn't it? Yeah.
that part's really nice. But yeah, I just love. I felt very scattered. I felt like we were going, to here for this and to here for that, and this is here and this is that. But so some of the things that I think, stumbled across that, were a little bit of a learning curve was some of the communication inside of there where you're messaging clients or you're messaging, yourself or your internal. We've had a couple of mishaps where we've actually messaged the client thinking that we were messaging each other.
Oh, that's not so good.
Yeah. I mean, luckily, again, I have full transparency with my clients, so it doesn't bother me, but it's something that I figured out a solution to that too. We use a different system now for internal communication versus, so we keep that. At the moment, we're keeping my Doma strictly for client communication, contractor communication in the future, and that sort of thing. Anything that we need so that we know that when we go in there, whatever we're sending out or whatever we're typing or whatever message we have or whatever we're putting in there is for the benefit of anyone could see it. Anyone could, use that information to find out stuff about the project.
Right. Just make an assumption it can or will be seen by the client. So when you communicate here, keep it buttoned up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. You have to have your workarounds for things. You get burnt by something and then you need to figure out a way around it. So, okay. So now tell us some of the other tools that you are using between the four of you to do all of this.
Okay, so we've always used Google Drive, and we also have the Google Suite. So all of our emails and everything is routed through Google because it's just easier for us to. It's just a great system for us to use. So not only have we always used Google Drive to store things, but now that I live in LA and I'm traveling back and forth, we're also doing all of our video conferencing through Google as Google Hangouts as well. So Google Hangouts allows us to. Everyone gets on their computer, whether they're working from home or whether they're working in the office, because sometimes one of them might be working from home, and I'm obviously in LA. So I love it because everyone's on screen. We can share the screen. I've looked at entire house plans via Google before, where we're on Google Hangouts, and I'm looking at their screen, and we're talking about moving doors and windows and so forth. And it really is just like standing over their shoulder. I will tell you. Yeah, it's really amazing. And I even we did a practice run before I moved to LA. So I was in my office and they were in a different part of the office and they're at their desk. And I'm like, let's just pretend that I'm not here and that let's just do this. And we did a little practice run and it worked out great. So now we use that a lot. So not only are we using the video conferencing with Google, we're using, of course, like I said, the email system. And obviously we like Google Calendar. That's our standard calendar that we use for keeping up with everything. And I like it because someone can log on to see what I'm doing. If I have an appointment, should they call me now? Or I can check to see on the calendar what they have going on in their day as well. So it's a really good way for us to keep on top of what the other one is doing. And because we do wear a lot of hats, and because one might be doing this on the project and one might be doing that, and this person's scheduling the install next week and this one's talking to the movers, and it allows everyone to really be, again, fluid with what's happening with the other person and to be fully aware, because I want us all to be completely. If you can see me now, I'm bringing my hands together now. I want us all to be really together on everything and to really be aware of what the other person is doing. And I think that, and I'll tell you, I think because I did move, it pushed me to do these things quicker than it would have had I not been. And it really has opened my eyes up to some really cool things, because even if I were in Florida still, rather than just having my office here, maybe I wanted to work from home on one day, and maybe I would be, I could still do this teleconferencing that we do, video conferencing calls. And, we literally just hung up with a client from LA just now, where we had a conference call with a client there. And it was kind of interesting because instead of me being in LA with them, I'm here in the office with my employees who actually did the CAD drawing, and we're having this live conversation in person, which I'm not really used to anymore because I'm usually in LA. So it was almost more awkward to be in the office today having the teleconference than it was to be in LA. But yeah, so Google's a really big part of what we do, and it seems to be working out. And we store everything there permanently, but anything that the client needs to see or the client needs to house or their contract, like I don't really have the contract, for instance, signed in my Doma. I still do it like DocuSign, but I'll take that finished contract and I'll place it in my Doma just because I want the client to be able to go back and refer to that at some point. And of course, we have our files that we keep on Google Drive, but the benefit of my Doma is that, again, it's all under one umbrella and they can go right to it. So as much as I can put in there for the client, I will take from Google Drive and put into my Doma just for the client to see. And at the end of the project, the beautiful part of it is it's all together, everything's ready to go. It's like you tie it up with a bow and you're done. And it's not you're pulling it from this folder and this folder in Google. It's all right there in my Doma, because once the project is over, whatever we've chosen and whatever they've approved and whatever, even down to the spec sheet, it's all right there, and I don't have to go pulling from 14 different places to assemble it all together for the client. Mm-hmm.
For them, it's almost like a virtual binder for them. If a year and a half from now they want to know what color paint you did in the powder bath or whatever, they can just go into there. You can give them access indefinitely to the MyDoma, right? To the part that pertains to them, right?
Yes, exactly. And my favorite part is clicking that little button that says profit on how much profit I've made off of it.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, exactly. Or how much I didn't make off of it.
Right. Well, you need to know it every time, no matter how happy or painful it is. It's information is the end all be all, right?
Totally.
Yes. Totally. Okay. So the thing about it is, so we have this, so the Google, like the C-suite, that's your email system. And, it's funny because I had 2 people on my team just last week say, "Oh, sweet Jesus, Luann, would you please move us to Google C-Suite?" And I was like, the first person said, I was like, "What is that? And why do I care?" And then the second person, like separately working from a different part of the country, says it to me. And I was like, all right, now I got to pay attention. So we're switching over. But I have to say, I cannot stand my Google Gmail that I use for personal. And I know that theoretically Google Docs and Google Sheets and all of this other stuff with the googly man are very effective and people like it, but I think I'm missing a Google DNA strand because I have a very difficult time and I spend more time yelling than getting anything done. However,
I wonder why that. I wonder if are you trying to access, since I'll tell you, I don't log into Google Online to access my email. We route it through Outlook. So that may be something that I hate. Oh, no. And I will tell you this too. We do not use Google Docs, or very rarely do we use Google Docs. We still use Microsoft for that. And we just.
See, it's not just me. It's not that easy.
No.
Okay, because I do my Gmail, through online, and I hate it. I hate the way the searches. I hate the way the threads are operated. I hate I hate everything about it. I guess Google will never ask me if they can sponsor the show.
I don't think they're going to come on. Oh my God.
Well, I know. I was actually surprised when they, when the 2 of them, like I said, separately, independently suggested it. And then when I said it to the third person, I brought it to Christy, who is the one who has to put up with my 15 thumbs and, can't get anything done. I said to her, I said, "Well, what do you think?" And she's like, "Anything's got to be easier than this." She goes, even for you, I think,
Yeah, I think it could be complicated if you do it that route, but to not get well, maybe we need to get specific about it, but yeah, I don't log into the website and do it. What I like about it is that if we are in, let's say, a different country or a different part of the world or whatever, they can still log into it and access their email very easily. Mm-hmm. So on their phones, it's set up through Google, but obviously our address is at johnmcclaindesign.com because that's my website, but we just filter that through Google, and Google is the one that does it. But I can't. I don't really subscribe to all of their stuff at all because it just doesn't work out for me. And I'm kind of old school where I've used Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel for years. And I just continue to do that. So yeah, I think you just like you and I were saying before, it's almost like you choose the parts that work for you and you apply them, and the parts that don't, you let other people hang on
Right.
to those and love them.
Right. And so one of the things that I understand a feature is that in real time, one person on your team can move something to a folder, and then it moves it for everybody. And so
Yes.
with you, I'm sure you are experiencing what I'm beginning to experience as my podcast team grows larger. So
Mhm.
we I see everybody's email, so I know everything that's going on. But then sometimes, like, here's Luann, like, did you do that one yet? You didn't copy me. Did you do this? And so there's like, okay, you see, if we were on C Suite, then I could do it, I could file it, and you could go look at the file and you could know I did it. And I'd be like, or you could just tell me every time to do everything.
You don't want that.
And they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah,
You're driving us crazy.
anything you take out, you'll get a notification that this has been removed, or anything that someone adds. For instance, if I'm on a consultation or a job site, or one of my employees are, and they're snapping photos, we can upload those right to Google Drive rather than having to email them to ourselves and send them over again via email to the file.
Oh,
I just upload them from
see.
my phone, Luann, like right from my
Yes.
phone to Google Drive, and it's there. And then from there, we can pick and choose what we want to put into my Doma at that point. So it's really changed stuff for us, and it's made things a lot easier. I mean, I'm not a Google commercial, but I think you should look into it.
Well, you know how I am. I like if one person says it, if two people say it, I got to pay attention. So we're going to try it. So, okay, so now talk to me about some of the other things. What about for your bookkeeping? Is that QuickBooks? I mean, I know QuickBooks is now a feature in my Doma. Do the three women that work for you all have access to your QuickBooks, John, or do you only manage that? How do you work that?
So we have a bookkeeper who it's kind of dual fold. I found out that I was not as involved, as knowledgeable about my finances as I should be last year, after I got a big fat stinking tax payment from the IRS. And
See?
so yeah, so we changed CPAs and went to a different one. And he's like, John, do you even know like what's going on? Do you know the detail? I'm like, no, I don't know. I thought you did. I thought the other person did. So what I've done is really changed it to where I've forced myself this year to really learn the ins and outs of QuickBooks, and learn what's being invoiced and what's not being invoiced, and what's due and what's payable, and how to reconcile, and blah 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 blah. But I still have a bookkeeper who monthly goes in and reconciles everything. But they're in direct contact with me, because I'll again, complete transparency. I've had two people that I've hired, two full-time people over sadly the past year, who claim to be experts in QuickBooks and claim to be great bookkeepers and could be a great office manager and receptionist, and neither one could hold up to their
Mm.
skill set. And it caused a lot of problems. There were invoices going out incorrect, and there were bills that weren't getting paid. And I just decided that I'm going to jump in there. Again, you as the owner, you do what you have to do. So I jumped in and did it myself, and I've just really forced myself to be really much more involved in the QuickBooks. So I will work with the bookkeeper on questions that they have, and they'll do the bigger picture stuff like tax payments, and then they process payroll. But I'll tell you, I'm the one in there right now, literally doing the invoicing and doing the record of payments at the moment. And I don't know how long I can take it because
I
it's not
know
my
it's
favorite
brutal.
thing, but
Yeah.
it's opened me up to really know a lot about my business. I mean, somebody told me that Oprah signs every check that she sends out. I don't know if that's true or not, but I take that philosophy and think about it like I need to really be aware of every check that goes out. And like, okay, here's one thing we've done. So for instance, in the past, I would have payments and things go out from my office in here in Florida, and I would be in LA. Now I've decided I've made one day per week where I'm the only person who will be writing those checks, and they go out from my desk. I know exactly where it's going to go to, who it's going to go to. I can ask questions about why are we paying this much, or what's this for, and it just really makes me more astute about my own finances. And by doing that, it's helped out tremendously. So
So, that this is exactly what you have to do. And I'm so glad that you're doing it. And the thing about it is I have never heard that line that Oprah signs every check, but I have to tell you, if you said to me, Luann, you have to say belief or don't believe right now, I would say believe. That's what I would say. I don't believe that you ever let go of that function. That's my point. I believe I give you a big high five for digging in and doing it. And I've also learned in this last 3.5 years and over 450 interviews and countless conversations with designers that yours is one of dozens of stories in the industry where a principal has found out that they've either been ripped off by a bookkeeper, a bookkeeper has been asleep at the wheel, and not maybe because of negligence, but just not competence, and they are stuck with big tax bills, or their CPA doesn't have their back. This is why I love Peter Lang, the designer CPA, who was a co-author in my book, because he understands the business intricately, because it's the only type of business that he works with. But the point is that I don't believe it's a function that you ever can let go of as the principal. I think, to your point, though, it could become a function that you have say and oversight in, but you're not necessarily the one doing every minutia of it. But like my husband writes every check. Him and I have check writing abilities, but I would never sit down one day and be like, okay, this month I'm going to pay the bills, because that's not clarity. You see, you need, what I know is, because there have been times in our business where I was the one responsible, and for 18 months I did run the business end of the business as far as the accounts and paying and all of that stuff. And you need to be able to sit there with the context of the full thing in front of you and behind you. Because if I just sit down and I just come in and say, oh, these are all the stack of bills that my admin said are due, if I have no context, I can't tell you the number of times Vin will say, I thought I paid this bill last month. I remember the sidemark name. I remember writing this check, or I remember approving this credit card. And she'll be like, really? Did I miss it? Did I make a mistake? Because things happen. She's so good, but she's a human being. And if I were to just say, oh, Vin, you're busy this week, I'll just pay the bills, I wouldn't have that context. So I really don't think as the principal you graduate out of that. I really don't.
I will be knowledgeable of it forever, but I don't want to be. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to be the person. I don't enjoy inside the QuickBooks, but like I told you and mentioned before, it really has made me fully. Because I think what happens is you're super busy and things are going. All this money's coming in and it's great, and then all of a sudden there's a lull or there's a slowdown, and you're like, wait a minute, where's all the money? Where's it going? And you go back to investigate, and you find out that it's been processed incorrectly or not processed enough, or maybe this vendor sent their payment in, but did we actually invoice the client for that? And like all this stuff, and I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe I'm just going to jump in and just know that it's my life here on out.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the territory, John. It just becomes like, on Fridays I do this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, it is. And I've tried to start doing a lot of time blocking where I actually put these things into my calendars, and I'm really trying to be diligent about putting everything in my calendar, because I think it's important. So I've just put that on my calendar. Like today I'm writing checks. Today I'm reviewing invoices. Today I'm doing whatever. And I'll tell you what happened to us is that we were put our confidence in our former two bookkeepers ago, actually. We put our confidence in that person and found out that they were outsourcing all of their work to someone overseas, which is crazy for me to think that they were doing that. So this random person was having not only access to our information, but also trying to, balance our books. And I'm like, I don't even know how that even begins. So there's 3 people between me and the end result.
And my money. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's a funny thing, because I'm so grateful for you to be honest about this and share this, because if you're not familiar with John and his company, when you go look at his website, you're going to be, oh, huge designer, so successful. Like, this is not a startup here. This is an amazing, accomplished designer. I'm so grateful for you for being, you said off air, Luann, I'm an open book. Ask me anything. And you sure proved that to be true. I appreciated everything today, John, that you shared with us.
It's been my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it.
just imagine how many details you have in a day, how many approvals need your attention, proposals that need to go out, and then imagine that for 3 to 4 weeks at a time, you are in a different state from your entire team. Pretty crazy, isn't it? It sure puts an onus on paying attention to how you do things and on doing the things the same way each time. Why? So you don't spin your wheels starting from scratch every time you sit down to get up to speed on a project. This is critical in John's situation, but it is key for you too, even if your team is in one building, even if you are only a team of one. Structure, order, clarity. When you have these in place, when your business is running smoothly, then your brain is free to take care of the creative side of your business. And let's be clear, the creative side is not just the designing spaces. It is also looking for and getting new clients. It is about the working on your business. Think about it. Creating marketing strategies, handling discovery calls, going to networking events. This is your creative brain at work. And so I would like for you to take a lesson from John. Get your firm set up with a strong foundation that includes tools and systems that support, enhance, and grow your business. All right? Now, if you live in either Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine, I'd love to meet you. On November 1st, 2019, I'll be speaking at the Portland Interior Design Society Chapters event, Elevate Conference. And the following week, on November 9th, 2019, I'll be speaking at the 30th anniversary celebration of the NKBA Portland chapter. Both the IDS of Portland, Oregon and the NKBA of Portland, Maine are inviting you, the design professional, to join us. You don't have to be a member of IDS or NKBA to attend. So please go to my website, luannniagara.com, click on the tab Attend a Live Event. And then you will find the RSVP and the registration info for these events and any other event that I'll be at over the next coming months. This will be my first time to either and both of these Portlands. So I'm really looking forward to joining and meeting all of the members of IDS Portland and NKBA Portland, and I hope that you'll think about coming out there to be with us too. All righty. Now, you have a decision to make, right? You probably listened to John today and thought, that's a good idea in there. That's a nice system that I should be using. And I do have to say, I think I will be having John back for another episode to go more step by step, the way he will work with his team remotely using Asana, G Suite. He talked about Slack off air. We didn't even get there, okay? Acuity, he talked about off air. We have lots of things to talk about. So, look for his second episode. It's definitely going to be coming, all right? But in the meantime, that's not an excuse for you not to take an action now, all right? So in the ensuing weeks since we recorded, our team did switch to G Suite. And let's just say I feel your pain. It's not easy switching and learning something new, but we all know that eventually it's worth it. So I would love to know what you are going to do. All right. What action are you going to take to make your system run more smoothly? All right. I want you to decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannniagara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.